Welcome to our Global Village. Thank you for joining us today. We have a great guest from the program manager of the Brooks Service Victims. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, we'll repeat it. That's what happens when you've been running for the last 3 days.
That's right.
Okay. Welcome to our Global Village TV show. We are honored to air today from JBS Center in Brooks, County of Newell. We are very thankful to the city of Brooks providing the venue. We have a great guest today, Anne from the Victim Services Program Manager. Welcome to the program, Anne.
Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've worked with victim services here in Brooks for close to 14 years and came to Brooks about 15 years ago. And I like Brooks because I feel at home at Brooks, and I'm able to provide services to people from every walk of life and cultures, and it's a good place to live.
And raise family.
And a raised family also.
Yeah. So what motivates you then, your job?
What motivates me, because at the end of the day, I am able to go home and say to myself, I have helped somebody become resilient in a time of crisis. We see people on the worst days of their lives. Something has happened, whether it's a death, whether it's a loss, robbery, or whether it is a family crisis when they come in and report abuse. There is some negative circumstance in their lives. And so we see them when they're in tears. And if we can help shine the light at the end of the tunnel for people so that they can become resilient and be able to move ahead with their lives, I can say that I have done my job.
Well, I'm living a testimony. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you very much.
The domestic issues, especially after the COVID, has been increased. Domestic disputes, especially the whole the community in general, but specifically to the newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a domestic dispute at home, that will increase to a domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just touch base on what would be a difference between emotional abuse or physical abuse or several different abuses that some of the people might not even aware of?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, domestic violence is one of those topics that are almost taboo sometimes, to talk about. Very embarrassing,
Yeah.
but they do exist.
Yeah.
Now we have to, recognize this, that this is not a modern day sickness. Domestic violence has always been part of the human race,
Yeah.
and it was there during the time of the Second World War, even, and then also during the dirty 30s,
Yeah.
but today we see the same form of it. Somehow it has evolved in time,
Mm-hmm.
but we are aware of different forms of abuse that take place.
Mm-hmm.
There's intimidation. And where one dominates the other person, a partner dominates the other person and intimidates them, and with that comes abuse. They can use children in order to abuse a partner, where they will send messages through the children, or even abuse the partner in front of the child. And then also there is the physical abuse, where it escalates to a physical abuse. There's a slap. It usually begins with a push, and then it'll escalate to a slap, and then to full-blown and assaults. And we've seen women that come in with bruises, on different parts of their bodies. And then there's also financial abuse, where you withhold financial assistance or financial help to your partner. So they are left, almost destitute, almost begging. And it's a kind of a power and control thing. Yeah. And then there's also other forms of violence, abuses. We have the sexual abuse also, and that is very unfortunate, but it does happen also within the family violence circle. So those are the main forms of abuses that we find in domestic violence.
So what are the cultural aspect role in that aspect of domestic violence?
Now, we have to recognize, and as much as, domestic violence is universal, and it is different from one culture to the next. Now, and not to say that one culture is better than the other, but we do find variations. And working with immigrants, and we are aware that abuse is a taboo to talk about. So we have women that come in to report in a very shy, reserved manner, and will only give as much information that they feel will be helpful for them to get help. And with that, they will withhold the entire story. But we all know that if you've come, to report, there's probably other incidences that have taken place before. It is said that it takes 7 times before a woman comes and reports abuse. So with some cultures where abuse or family violence is a taboo, people are it's very difficult for them to talk about it. In other cultures where they're more open, those are the ones that will go out for help a little sooner. But even then, we also know it does take about 7 times before a woman comes, and comes and talks about it. So those are the variations. But then we also are aware about the economic variations also. There are those women that are independent. Those ones will not stand abuse. They are economically, able to provide for themselves and then probably for their children. These are the kind of women that will come in, report it, put an end to it, move out of that situation, and then get themselves and the children safe. But then we have others who are dependent on the main breadwinner, who is the abuser, unfortunately. Those ones tend to stay in situations that, unfortunately for them, are a little bit too dangerous. And these are the people that will need community supports that will come in, sometimes, social services to help them now move away from that situation so that they can rebuild themselves and then also, become independent and help their children.
So how can we help also then the abuser, for example, if the person is not, you said it's taboo, that's very true. People don't like to talk about. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like to talk about, how would you even solve the problem then? I don't understand.
That is a very good question. And we're glad that we've got community collaboration. And several years ago, the Domestic Violence Intervention Team was formed here in town. And we're thankful it is still running very, very strong. Cantera Safe House is still running it. And they have a good team of social workers that will deal with the family as a whole, as a unit. Mm-hmm. Not just the victim, but then also the offender. It's one thing to deal with a victim, but then it's also another thing to deal with the offender. Mm-hmm. We do recognize that there are many people that will want to go back eventually, but we do not want the cycle of violence to continue indefinitely. So what they do is that they deal with the offender and the victim together, and they've got the Healthy Families program, and then they also take care of domestic violence and the different forms of abuse. And by the time it is resolved within the criminal justice process, they've already done their work. So if they will come together, we have a nice, healthy family unit that can move on and hopefully put an end to the cycle of violence.
No, that's well said. The other issue comes from the cultural aspect is you have families that have children, and sometimes kids play their phone. They have, it's very difficult for them to take away from this, the phone. Sometimes families feel a little bit stressed. They can't take the phone away from the kid because then the kid gets upset. They intend to call the police. So the police come to his house. When they come to the house, the youth or the kid will be able to say their piece, not necessarily the parents speak the language. So that becomes also another problem that can be prevented collectively, because every house has a rule. And if you violate the rule, then you lose the privilege. That's the way that we deal in our own house. Unfortunately, that's not the case for many of the newcomer houses. They become a little bit stressed out because of afraid that they might lose their children. Then you have the family and children comes in and all that aspect. Now, and that was the discussion that we had also in different schools with the resource officers, including both Josh and Sharon at the time. They were school officers, resource officers. How would we be able to educate them? The family have every right in their own house when it comes the house rule for their children. So the children will not take advantage of, I can do anything that I want to. If not, I'm in Canada, I can call the police. That's also very tricky. That makes stress some of the newcomers, most of them, I would say.
Yes. And that is also a very good question. And as I said, we have a community collaboration. Number one, we do have safe communities. They will go into the schools and they'll do the education and teach the children, what is right, what is wrong within the home settings. And, and then we've got SPEC also doing the integration part of it. And then we've got, if any incident would arise in the home, police would be engaged. Then we've got also Child and Family Services will be asked to come in. When they come in, they will monitor the family. They will address those issues. So we have a community of agencies coming in together. And then also we've got, as I said, Cantera Safe House, dealing with healthy families. They've got the education part of it, and they will teach the newcomers, this is the right way to deal with things. You do have autonomy in your home. We're not coming to remove that autonomy from the parents. We are just giving them tools to be able to, function as a family and tell them you have every right to make the rules within the family, and then we help them out. And then also, with Child and Family Services, they will also do the education to those children, and then hopefully we do have good, cohesive, and healthy family.
So what you're saying is the family have every right to have their own rules at home.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so. I think that's very, very clear. In terms of the domestic violence that you mentioned, how would you be able to even educate when people are in denial of what you mentioned, emotional abuse and all this kind of abuses, if one is not even doesn't understand, because prevention is always better than dealing with the issue to begin with.
Yes.
How would best you think we can prevent? Is it more education? Is it more awareness to the specific different groups? Is it having stakeholders to explain and talk about relevant issues, like we did one time all women sessions, I believe we did back then, to explain about abuse, any form of abuse is not acceptable in the society. It's not I would say, it's not a culture, from my personal opinion. It's not a religion, because any faith will not ask you to beat up someone.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, any culture will not give you permission to beat up somebody. So it's just a formulation of somebody's belief, whatever that belief might be. How best you think then we can educate, in your own opinion? Is it more awareness, either through Kantara, through other organizations in Brooks and County of Newell, or is it something that we should be able to educate through social media and all this, because social media has also its own difficulties. Sometimes watching social media creates also another problem, or following up the social media has its own problem.
Yes, yes. I believe using every means at our disposal. But I believe very, very strongly in your grassroots level. You educate one person, that one person could educate the next, and then it'll grow.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to domestic violence issues, and even a neighbor that overhears a quarrel or some banging next door, they will go and inquire.
Yeah.
And we inherently know, regardless of whether anybody has ever told us violence is not right, we inherently know that it is not right. And it is when we now come forward and let people know, yes, there is a problem, rather than having them suffer alone. But that one neighbor that overhears that something is wrong, that goes and knocks and asks, is everything okay? And then follow up, or even take the phone and then call the police, then there is intervention. That is the starting route, place.
Good.
Then we've got community agencies coming together, providing those services. But then we also have another level where we have information sessions. And we've run that, you're very well aware of it. We had them at BCIS, where we have women's group coming together. We also have men's group. We talk about different kind of violence, violence, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and informing them of this. Then they're aware that this is not acceptable in this society, and then also empowering those who are victimized by violence to be able to come forward and report it. And then, we have the justice system coming in order to put the stop measures. We are unable to put the stop measures ourselves as community members.
Yeah.
You do need the justice system, which, has the police coming in place, and we've got the the court system. So there's a no contact order, and then they deal with it in a punitive way, and then it brings law and order into the family unit. It takes all society, but it begins from your grassroots. That one neighbor that overhears and knows something is not right, that's where it begins.
So, in other words, if you see something, say something.
Please, do not ignore it. Do not ignore it, because next time we don't know whether that person is going to be alive, or whether you'll be seeing an ambulance leave and somebody will be severely hurt. No neighbor wants to see that happen, and then they'll question and ask, why didn't I do something when I had the opportunity? This is a time to do something about it.
No, that's well said. I think that's neighbor watching neighbor. If you see something wrong, please say something. I think that could be something that you can preventing something that might happen, which is important in your own opinion. So, in order to have a mutual understanding with a healthy family, because it's always good to have a family unit. The domestic violence creates also a problem for that specific family. There might be children involved. There might be, so that could be another difficult. Education is the best way forward to educate people if they are able to change. Those who are not able to change, as you rightly said, that's why we have the Justice Department to deal with the issue. But when it comes to domestic violence, is it only from the main side or the female side, or the same? So if a problem comes, for example, from domestic issue, most likely will come from the man.
Yes.
But sometimes instance comes from the woman also.
Yes, it comes from both. And typically what we have seen, it is the male that, the more offenders are male, but then we also know that there are female offenders. There are those males that have unfortunately been victims of, female offenders. And it doesn't matter, you're still a victim, and you can still come up and speak up. Now we have to realize this, as much as we're talking about domestic violence, and sometimes people don't want to speak up. It is a criminal offense. If you're being hurt, if you're being assaulted at home, it is a criminal code offense, and the police need to be engaged as soon as possible, because we do not have the means or the capacity within ourselves as community members to bring the offender to the point where they can stop that violence. We do need some kind of police intervention.
So, in other words, the cooperation has to be also there.
That is correct.
From the members of that family.
Yes. Well, you know what? Sometimes they don't even have to cooperate. Once even a neighbor knows, once the police get engaged and the justice system, comes in, then at least there are measures put in place where now, the offender is forced to take accountability and make changes, and the victim is set aside and put in a safe place. Then at least they can work towards amending their ways. We can't force people, but you know what? There's a way we can make them. The justice system can make them, amend their ways, separate them, just like in the schoolyard, and make the offender accountable for his actions.
And once you report the case, let the case go through the court. Do not go back.
Yes. And we always, this is why we address, the ambivalence. If there's a need, financial dependence, those feelings, children asking where is daddy, daddy can, visit the children, but, under, protective circumstances, but we encourage the woman, don't go back too soon, let him go through the justice system, and let him take accountability for his actions. And you know what? Through probation, they go through counseling, assessment, and hopefully they will come to the point where they can change their ways. And they're monitored very, very closely. So by the time the no contact order has been removed, there has been some improvement. And but we all know that there are those that do not improve. We do see recidivism, but not as high as it used to be. But always allow the justice system to take its due course.
So last question is, why would you think then the domestic violence is increasing in terms of, especially for the newcomer side? Is it because of over-reporting? Is it people don't report, but the number is increasing?
Now, there's different reasons. Now, I'm an expert on that, but having worked in the job for a number of years now, and we do see spikes from time to time. Mm-hmm. Spikes mean that yes, it has been happening, and or there could be some over-reporting, or reporting that was not taking place that now is reporting because people are now aware you can get help. Now they're reporting. And then sometimes, during hardship, economic hardships, there is, tension within the home. Mm-hmm. And then, things escalate. And then there is reporting during that time. And then also during economic booms. Unfortunately, this is where your drugs and alcohol come in. They're very, very easily accessible. Unfortunately, with it, with the abuse of alcohol and other substances, mm-hmm. We do see violence come up. So there are different circumstances, and we see them in cycles. It depends on what's going on, but generally there are basic things that will cause violence. But the main thing we have to remember that there's some situations where violence has gone on for quite a while that has not been reported, and then all of a sudden it now begins, to be reported.
Wow.
Yes.
So, what message do you have for those people that may be in silence, to encourage them to report all the time?
Yes, I always say this to the woman: as long as you know on the inside of you you're hurting, and you're crying for help, do not hesitate. pick up the phone or leave home when it's safe and come and report it. There are people waiting for you, and there's always help on the other end.
Well said, Anne. Thank you very much. Abuse in every language is not acceptable in the society. Regardless of any culture or any language, abuse is not acceptable. So that's the bottom line.
That is correct.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. So please do not abuse. If you have anger management, if you have other issues, reach out to proper. There's a proper help. You can reach out and try to solve the issue through help. Don't hesitate. Don't leave that until something happens to you or your family. So reach out, and there are always people who are there to help out. Whether it's anger management, whether it's a financial issue, there's a financial issue also plays into this. So try to reach out whenever that is a problem that you think. If there is a alcohol or drugs involved, there is always a way to reach out to the addiction. We have addiction and counseling that you can reach out. You can reach out to organizations. So please, again, do not abuse your wife, your children, your partner. That is the norm for society. It won't be acceptable for ignorance. Ignorance is not defense at the court. Am I correct?
That is very correct.
Yeah. So it's our obligation to know the norms of society, and it's our obligation as a community members to make sure that public safety is always important to everyone.
Yes.
You're doing a great job, and thank you for everything that you do for the community, and we hope to see you more. I think this is your, I believe, first time to the Global Village TV show. I believe it's your second time.
It's my third time.
Third time. That's good. Yeah. I think your third time. So we've been away since 2020 during the COVID time. So we are now coming back to do the program so often, and we'll hope to invite you again and again, because that's extremely important for people to have that awareness of and connect that if there's a need, they know how to reach out to Anne. And you have been doing an excellent job.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anne, for joining us today, and we are very honored to have you. And we will, and we'd like to have you next time and next time. Thank you very much for joining us today, the Global Village program. We've been airing from the city of Brooks, city of 100 Hollows, and we've been very honored to be given this venue today, JBS Center, by the city, and we thank the city of Brooks for providing the venue. Take care, keep hope alive, stay healthy, stay safe.